Ma, when can we go to university?
We are currently processing your application and your funds will be released soon.
I know where a scammer is.
Please, you will have to send an additional 10,000 rands to finalize the process.
The deception. For 15 years, Nokuthula had risen before the first light of dawn, preparing for another day as a street vendor. Her hands, weathered and calloused, told a story of tireless labor under the harsh sun. Every day, she sold the freshest fruits to the people in her neighborhood with a smile, her heart steadfast in her purpose. As a single mother to two girls, Ayanda and Zanil, she had one clear goal: to save enough money to send them to college and ensure they had opportunities she had only dreamed of. One evening, after closing her store, Ayanda approached her with wide, hopeful eyes.
Ma, when can we go to university?
She asked. Nokuthula gently tucked Ayanda's braids behind her ear and smiled.
Soon, my child. When you finish school, I'll make sure of it. You'll have the future I couldn't, and that's a promise.
Her routine was as constant as the sunrise. She meticulously counted her earnings each evening and deposited the money at the nearest bank. It wasn't much, but she was proud of her growing savings. One evening, as she waited in line at the bank, she overheard a conversation between two young women in front of her. "I'm telling you, it's an amazing opportunity," one said excitedly. "You invest, and you'll double your money in a month." "Are you sure it's legit?" the other asked skeptically. "Yes. My cousin did it, and she's making so much money now. It's quick, easy, and risk-free." Nokuthula couldn't help but listen. Double my money? She thought. Her savings would take years to grow, but this could change everything for Ayanda and Zanil. That night, as she locked up her stall, her phone buzzed. She looked down to see a message from an unknown number. "Invest now. Get 100% returns in 1 month. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Her heart raced. The words were tempting, and the thought of securing her daughter's futures sooner was too alluring. After hesitating for a moment, she made the fateful decision. With trembling fingers, she transferred her hard-earned 70,000 rands, the savings she had poured her life into. The following morning, she checked her phone, expecting an update. There was none. She politely told the number, "I've made the investment. When can I expect the returns?" No reply. Days turned into weeks, and Nokuthula's messages went unanswered. She began to suspect the worst.
Ma, are you okay?
Zanil asked one evening, noticing the shadow of worry in her mother's eyes.
"I'm fine, my child."
Nokuthula replied, forcing a smile. But inside, her heart ached. She had been scammed, and the realization felt like a punch to the gut. Then, another message came.
We are currently processing your application and your funds will be released soon. Please, you will have to send an additional 10,000 rands to finalize the process.
Nokuthula stared at the screen, her stomach churning. She didn't have 10,000 rands. Desperate, she made a decision she had avoided for years. She called a loan shark. "I need 10,000 rands, she said, her voice shaking. "You know the deal," the loan shark replied coldly. "Double the repayment, with interest." "I'll pay it back," she whispered. "Please, I need this." She secured the loan, sent the additional money, and waited. But nothing came. The scammer disappeared, leaving her with a crushing debt and shattered dreams. One night, as she stared at her empty bank account, tears streaming down her face, Nokuthula whispered,
"How will I tell my girls? How did I let this happen?"
next day, her neighbor, Mrs. Mabuza, noticed her distress. Nokuthula, you look troubled. What's wrong? Nokuthula hesitated but eventually confided in her.
You've been scammed.
Mrs. Mabuza said with a frown.
I've heard of these people. I think I know where one of them operates.
Tell me, Nokuthula said, determination hardening her voice. With Mrs. Mabuza's guidance, Nokuthula tracked the scammer to a dingy flat nearby. She didn't confront him directly but instead called the police.
I know where a scammer is.
She told the officer.
He's been preying on people in my area. Please help.
The police acted swiftly, arresting the man, with a lot of evidence in his flat. Though her money was never recovered, Nokuthula felt a glimmer of justice. That night, she returned home to her daughters.
Did you catch him, Ma?
Ayanda asked eagerly. Yes, Nokuthula said, her voice steady.
I may not have my money back, but he won't hurt anyone else again.
Her daughters hugged her tightly. You're a hero, Ma, Ayanda whispered. Nokuthula smiled through her tears.
I did it for you both. I'll rebuild, no matter how hard it is. I'll never stop fighting for your future.
And as she held her girls close, she whispered,
We'll rise again. Together.